Welcome to That's Lit with Shazzie Dee. I'm Shazzie Dee's sister, Norah, and I'll be stepping in to interview the one and only Shazzie Dee herself on this special episode of That's Lit. This year, 2026, marks 8 years since she started the show, and we're going to look back at where it all began. Shazzie Dee, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So interesting being on the shoe being on the other foot.
I know. I don't know how you do this because I don't know how to be a journalist or how to interview people, but I just want to say congratulations on having done this show for so long. I remember where it all began, but I wanted to ask you, for those that don't know, how did That Slit begin?
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So That's Lit started way back in 2018 on radio. So I started this as a radio show. So That's Lit way back when. I decided, at the time, so I'm a journalist, that's my background, that's what I love doing, and I used to work at a lot of business publications, and I really enjoyed it. That was really fun, loved my job, but I always felt like there was something kind of missing. I felt like, oh, is there, kind of these people who are doing some really cool things that I could talk to that don't necessarily fit the criteria to kind of make it into the publications that I work for? So because of that, because I just kind of had this kind of feeling that, oh, I could do more for people in my community, I was like, maybe I could try having a radio show just on a whim. I literally Googled radio shows near me, radio stations near me, found one that happened to have these lessons, like you could do a course to actually learn how to be on radio. And I was like, great. It was like community radio. And I ended up doing, I don't know, for like 6 weeks or 8 week course, and it was so fun learning how to use like the radio station keys, learning how you're actually meant to like introduce yourself and always say the station name, and kind of like the technical side of being on radio versus I already had the skills to do the interview side, but I needed to know how to use the panels and stuff. So that was really fun. Finished that, and then they had an opportunity for you to kind of pitch a show if you wanted to, go forth after you got your certification. And so I kind of had this idea at the time, I'm a really big book reader. I love reading books. And so at the time I was like, maybe I could have a show that was all about reading books. I could have like every month we could like go over a few chapters of a book, or I could like give my review of a book that I was reading. And so I was like, what's a really good name that I could come up with that had like a book related angle? And I was like, that's lit. Like literature, like that's lit. And I patted myself on the back. I was like, oh my God, I'm so funny. And that was the plan. The plan really honestly was about books, but as I had been like kind of crafting that idea, I thought, maybe it might not work, because how do I know if anyone is keeping up with me? It's not really like a book club necessarily. It would have to be reviews, and how quickly can I be doing this outside my job? How would this fit? So I kept the name, but I decided maybe I could keep the other idea that was kind of in the back of my mind of like, who else can I kind of have on the show alive? So anyway, I still pitched the idea of potentially having, this show. I wanted a show, and I still wanted to interview people, because that was still kind of at the crux of, if I did have a book-themed show, I would interview an author, say. So the interviewing part was always a part of it, just the focus kind of shifted when I was becoming more serious about what I wanted the show to be about. And then, I got approved. Yay, yay, yay. And so I had a show on Triple H 100.1 FM. The studio was in Waitara. And I got to have my own show on Friday nights at 8 o'clock. And I still can't believe I got to do that. So that's where it began. I started off, just playing music. I really wanted to get a handle on how this all works. So I was like, let me just make sure I know how to use the panel first. And so I would play music, and then after I got a bit more comfortable, just playing music, I was like, okay, now I can kind of have people on there, and I won't look like a rookie being like, okay, I don't know what button I'm pressing. I started reaching out to people and being like, hey, would you like to come on my show? Surprisingly, they did, and I was like, woohoo! So I would have a few people come and like talk to me. I would interview them for half an hour on the show, and like the other half of the time I'd play music. And yeah, 8 years later, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much has changed, because it actually ended up during COVID. I had to stop because, a few people were uncomfortable coming into the studio, which, I mean, fair enough. And I was also uncomfortable asking people, to leave their house to come all the way over there. So I decided to do it online as well. And then, yeah, now I kind of no longer, unfortunately, I'm not at the radio anymore, but I kept the podcast going. And that's it. Yeah, super proud.
Yes, thank goodness you kept it going after COVID. So, what is your favorite part of interviewing different people?
I love learning from them, because I feel there's always this perspective that I have of someone before I interview them. I'll have, I'll do the desk research, I'd look them up, I'd kind of see the stuff that they're doing, and, I'd have this kind of idea of the things that they're really good at, or the things that they are really passionate about, and I'll be like, hey, come on my show, can you talk about, X, Y, and Z? And then they completely surprise me. Like, after, maybe our initial chat or that initial research, when they're on the show and it's kind of like, they are answering the questions, camera on, ready to go, I feel like there's even more that I gain from them, because they have the passion, they have the excitement, they have like that drive in an area I'm not really familiar with, or I'm not fully understanding of, and I'm like, wow, I'm learning so much. Like, for example, the women who created the racism register, they were both named Elizabeth, which I thought that was great, Elizabeth Lang and Elizabeth Tecano. They created the racism register, and it was so cool to hear of something that they had seen, because they worked in kind of helping companies and corporates have kind of training around racism and how, or anti-racism I should say, and so how they were like, we could actually do something outside of that to help more people to kind of report on this really terrible issue, and then just how they've been able to navigate that as well. And I think hearing their story, and like, it just makes what I thought in the beginning that much richer, to see kind of why it was that they, would create something, or why it is that they're so passionate about something, or how important it is for them to do that kind of research and that kind of, platform. So I just love learning, and just having people on my show just makes me learn more, and I just love that.
Okay, so my next question is, do you have a favorite guest?
Yikes, you're gonna put me on the spot. Look, every single person, and I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart, every single person who has come on my show, who has agreed to be on the show, I'm super grateful for. Every single person has shared something with me and something with the audience that I'm sure, they're really good at, or they're really skilled at, but something that, we could go back and listen to, something we could take and learn from in the future. And so oh my gosh, I can't thank them enough for trusting me to, have them on the show and like getting to chat. But I will share some highlights. I think some of, I guess, the conversations I'm really proud of that I had on my show. One of them, and I know we really don't like talking about COVID. I've already mentioned it before, but I'm just gonna mention it again. I'm sorry. But at the time, I was, like everybody else, really, concerned. I was really scared. Like, what is this? What's happening? And so I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a mental health expert talk about how to reduce your anxiety during this time? Because look, low key, but also high key, it was for my own benefit, because I was also feeling very, distressed. What do we do? We're all in lockdown, we're all indoors. And so Xavier Mulenga, he was so great. Like, he'd been on the show before, and I remembered him, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, he would be the perfect person to talk about ways to reduce anxiety during that time. He's a mental health expert, and he's really good. And so that ended up being one of my most viewed podcast episodes to this day, because it just happened to serve so many people. It helped them. So I just thought, in my reasoning, when I was like, look, I might really need something like this, but other people may need this too during that time, I thought, wow, that incredible episode. I also want to shout out to Legeria Davis, because a lot of my guests are Sydney-based, okay? And oh my gosh, I love every single person who's come on the show, okay? shout out to you for being on the show. But I could not believe that someone international would want to be on the show. So at the time, she had released a film at, I feel like it was South by Southwest.
Yes.
We went together, yeah?
Yes.
Yes, and she had it was called Black Barbie. And so at the time, I don't think we knew, did we know it was going to be on Netflix?
No, I don't think it had.
It hadn't. So we had just seen it and we thought it was great. And I was like, look, I really love this. It was documentary style about, the Black Barbie doll. And I was like, oh, maybe I could try and like reach out to her and see if she would be, keen to, be on the show and talk about this. So yeah, I reached out to her and she was like, yeah, I'd love to be on your show. And we did an interview and I was like, wow, to have the opportunity to interview someone internationally, I was super grateful. So yeah, those two I would
Awesome.
highlight.
Fantastic. If you could have anyone as a guest on your show, who would it be?
If you know me, you already know. You already know. This is not a surprise.
Yes.
The queen of television interviewing, Oprah Winfrey. 100%, 1000%. If I could interview her, I feel like there would be nothing else on my bucket list to do
Wow.
after that. Like, case closed.
Wow.
I wouldn't need to do anything else after I interviewed her because the way she paved the way for so many of us, women of color, Black women specifically, and she did it in like pre all the social media,
Yes.
like to have everybody, like all the celebrities, all the, movers and shakers want to be on her show. Like that kind of influence, like just during her heyday when I was a kid, watching her on TV, it was like an event for me anyway, because I'm like, she could hold so many people's attention and she could ask some questions in a way to get them to like open up, or she could make it fun, or she could make it like she could do very sensitive topics really well. And I was like, if I could do something like that, if I could, be just even like a fraction of like her greatness, I would be so, so, so like proud of myself. And if I could just like interview her or like talk to her, like even if it's like 1, 2 questions, I would be so happy. Yeah, that would be my ultimate person I'd want to interview.
Amazing. Well, I know that a lot of the guests that you've had on your show have gone on to become really successful, which is really, really awesome. And I remember the first ever guest you had on your show, Chika Ikogwe, who we met in her final year drama school.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved her famous quote, which stuck to me to this day: if you ain't you, you ain't true. I feel like you're really good at spotting people before they reach success. And how do you feel about being a part of so many people's careers before they've become, even bigger stars?
Oh, thanks so much. Oh my gosh, that's really nice to hear. And look, I'm not going to take all the credit, okay? All these people really on their own are incredible. The work they do, and just speaking of Chika, like how like I wouldn't have been able to see that, and I'm so proud of her. She's now on Heartbreak High. She's been in films with, I think it was Russell Crowe was in the, like she's gone on to just be so incredible. And just to think, wow, all those years ago, very first person to agree to be on my show.
Yes, and she'd hurt her leg at the time.
She had.
Yes.
She had.
Oh
and
my
she
God.
still came. Like,
yes.
yeah, and you had to go up all these stairs to get to the studio.
Oh my gosh.
She's incredible. So shout out to Chika for coming on my show. Oh my gosh. And to see her killing it, thriving, like just become an even bigger star. Like, I'm so proud. And I'd like to think that I have a good gut feeling when it comes to people for my show. Like, whoever it is, sometimes I'll just see something, maybe on Instagram, maybe, I'd physically go and see a show, or I'd hear about someone and I'd be like, they're interesting, or, oh, they seem like they're doing something pretty cool. And I'd be like, oh yeah, come on my show. And then, a few years later, they're doing some really, like, spectacular things. And, like, some people who are already, like, totally killing it, like, say, like, Santilla. Now, like, she released a book, she even got a documentary done. So it's like, all these people who are really, like, going higher and higher, like, I'm so proud. And look, if I got to play like 0.1% part in that, I'm glad. I'm glad if I gave them a platform. Actually, Ruva
Yes.
Nguyen from the Tina Turner musical, she told me it was her first podcast that she had been on,
Wow.
like mine. And I'm
Yes.
like, how haven't other people
I know.
wanted to talk to her at that point?
Yeah, and she's incredible.
Yes. And I was just, oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm grateful that I've been able to do that for some people, for sure.
And now my final question. What advice would you give someone who wants to start a podcast or go into radio?
Definitely pursue something to talk about that you're passionate about. I definitely would have enjoyed doing a book related show, but just thinking practically about, okay, how would this actually work? Maybe some people can make it work, because I mean, look, there's many book related podcasts and radio shows, sure they can, but also look at your schedule, like how much time will you be investing in it, and if you can set that time aside to do something related to something you're passionate about, for sure do it. I would recommend also, if you are going to go on radio, I would recommend doing the course, because I just don't think I would have been able to do it as well if I hadn't learned how to use, the system properly. I wanted to do a really good job, and I wanted to, serve the people well with, the music that I was doing, whatever, whoever I was interviewing. So yeah, train up if you can. And also with like podcasts, I mean, you could literally watch a YouTube video, showing you how to set up. So there's lots of resources out there to learn. So I would just recommend learning, knowing what you want to talk about, okay, have some sort of theme. And then one thing that stuck with me from my radio days is never sound boring. They had this little picture up on the wall at the studio, and it was like, just never sound boring, because even if no one can see you, they can hear it in your voice if you, come off, bored, if you're just like, okay, I don't want to be here, I really don't care about this. People can tell just through your voice. So it's really important to at least, because if you already like or what you're talking about, you naturally sound a little bit more animated or, curious or excited. But if you just turn up and you don't want to be there, you don't like what you're doing, then the audience can hear that and they'll probably turn off. They probably won't be listening to you. So I think, make sure you're not boring or you're not bored, and do have fun. I like to think I have fun on my show. That's what I want to bring on my show, because, look, I would like to listen to something where someone is having fun. So I try to bring a bit of fun, a bit of excitement into my show. So, yeah, add that in as well.
Amazing. Well, that's it for this incredible interview. Thank you so much, Shazzie Dee, for sharing with us on your incredible platform, which you have spent so many years creating. And I'm so, so proud of you.
Thank you so much. And can I just say thank you to you, because if you didn't already know, Norah was there from the day dot, okay? Back in the day, you would pick me up from the studio. Sometimes when you had some time, you could come in. Sometimes you'd help film some of the clips that I would do. Oh my gosh, I don't know how we did it.
Oh my gosh.
But I appreciate you for doing that all those years ago.
Sharon, honestly, like those days when we take pictures of ourselves in the studio and we're like, oh my gosh, let's make sure we look cute. And then we'd look at the pictures and our eyes were like bloodshot red from exhaustion.
Yes, because the show was on from 8 p.m. till 10 p.m.
Yes.
After work.
Yes, that's right.
And so we were tired, like legitimately. Like we would think we were looking really good.
Yes.
Yes,
you could see everything in the eyes.
Oh man, but it was fun. Sometimes we'd play some songs that we really, really loved, and we'd be dancing in the studio just before.
It was so much fun.
Oh my
good
gosh,
times.
Good times. Yeah, that's lit. I've loved doing this show. I hope you really enjoyed, listening to the show, watching the show. Every single person who's had the opportunity to watch it, to, see any clips on social media, to listen to the show, I appreciate you. Really, really, truly. Thank you so much for listening to me all these years. Thanks again.
Okay, that's it for this episode of That's Lit. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next. I won't see you next time, but Shazzie Dee will see you next time.
Bye.